Good evening, West Orange. It is Tuesday, January 19th, 2016, and welcome to our conference meeting agenda. Madam Clerk?
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. A notice of this meeting was emailed to the Star Ledger and the West Orange Chronicle on October 14, 2015. A notice of this meeting was also posted on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, West Orange, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk of the Township of West Orange on October 14, 2015. Councilwoman Casalino?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Cirillo?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to start off, before we go into council liaison announcements, Mr. Puglisi would like to come up and give us an update from the Office of County Executive Joe DiVincenzo.
Thank you, Council President. Hi, Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. Just want to make you aware that today was the first day of our annual deer management program. It's now in its 9th year. We have 6 dates that we're going to be conducting the program at South Mountain Reservation, which is today the 19th, the 21st, 26th, and 28th of January, and then February 2nd and February 4th. If there is inclement weather, such as a snowstorm, and the program is canceled, we do not make up those days. So these would be the only days that the program is going to be held. And on those days, we do close the reservation for safety purposes, so you may see road signs up or printed signs in parking lots or at trailheads asking people not to enter the reservation on those days. And that's really it. If any resident has any questions, they can call the County Executive's Office at 973-621-4400. Oh, and just so people know, we use trained marksmen. They have to complete a program that's conducted by our Parks Department and the Sheriff's Office so that we verify that they have a hunting license, that they are qualified as marksmen. It's not a trophy hunt. All the venison that we get from culling the deer herd is donated to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. And then the hunters who do participate, they get a small amount if they volunteer on a certain number of days. And so far in the past 8 years, we've had over 36,000 meals prepared or made from the venison that we've gotten from the program.
Thank you. Wow, that's interesting.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you very much, Anthony. Do any of my colleagues have anything to report on council liaison announcements?
Sure. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. First, I wanted to say thank you to the Human Relations Commission. Yesterday, they presented the Martin Luther King birthday celebration. Keynote speaker Lawrence Ham, I thought, was profound and very powerful. And I was pleased to see the honorees, Althea Tweeten, community activist for many years, Eduardo Pina from Leader of Light, who I'm very excited to be working with the high school students in the Sustainable Technology course. They're putting together LED circuits that once the course is complete, we're hoping that the students will then train all of us in the community. Those circuits that we build as a community will go to the organizational charitable organization Leader of Light, and I'm saying Leader L-I-T-E-R because we're using recycled liter bottles. And through the UN, we will find a country that is in dire need of these LED circuits for a nightlight project. And through the UN satellite, it will show that country that's designated lit up by the West Orange community. So I'm very excited to work on that project with them and with the Chamber of Commerce, and everyone in the community will set dates, meeting dates to actually build these circuits. The other nominees, sorry.
Dr. McCartney from Kinder Smile.
Dr. McMurray.
McMurray.
Yep. Very unassuming, generous man for many, many years.
Deputy Chief Matt Bueller.
And Mafula, yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, so our Deputy Chief, Patricia West, nominated Deputy Captain Matt Fula for all of the projects that the police department are putting together. And one in particular is Coffee with the Cop. And their next session, Matt mentioned, is on February 17th, 9 o'clock at ShopRite, to discuss any issue that you may have that hopefully can be resolved with the police department.
Councilwoman, he also mentioned that they started an outreach to
the clergy.
Yeah.
Yes, which was so timely because that is a national program, but it was very timely because with the devastation and tragedy at St. Mark's, the clergy that were part of this organization or this alliance came together to help in any way if they can with St. Mark's. What else? The fire department has their Cycle for Survival on January 22nd at Oak Barrel Pub on Main Street from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. I'm sure you've heard about all the hubbub with Starlight Pizzeria getting ambushed by that Food Network show. The associate producer, Fred Breeze, said that show will air on March 9th on the Food Network. And I would really like to invite everyone to the Chamber Annual Breakfast. This is where the Chamber installs their slate of officers, and the mayor gives his State of the Town address. That will be at the Wilshire Grand Hotel on Wednesday, February 3rd. Tickets are available at westorangechamber.com and here in the mayor's office. What else? And I think Luna Stage, I just wanted to shout out to Luna Stage. They have a very dynamic show coming up called The Brothers Size. Starts February 4th through March 6th, 555 Valley Road. Thursday, Friday, Saturday performances at 7:30 and Sunday matinees at 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
What did I miss?
Thank you, Councilwoman. No, I think you got everything.
I think you covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If
Wait, one
not,
more. I'm sorry, Earth Hour. I always
There you
register
go.
that for how many years now I have registered the township with Earth Hour. That is a global phenomena where it is on March 19th this year, where I don't know how many countries there are, like 270 countries, and millions of people turn their lights out at 8:30 for only 1 hour. And again, from satellites, when you see what the Earth looks like during that hour, it goes dark. And this is the Empire State Building, the Eiffel Tower. We're talking about major structures around the world going dark. So I do register the township, and I would like everyone to conserve energy for that 1 hour on March 19th. And we also have an event at the Thomas Edison Museum the week before. I'm sorry we don't have a date scheduled for that yet, but it starts at Thomas Edison, and then we have guest speakers there at the lab. I'll keep you posted on the date. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Casalino?
Yes, I too like to congratulate all the award winners yesterday at the Human Relations Commission Martin Luther King event. The honorees were all well-deserved. I'd also like to thank the Edison Middle School students who sang and performed for us yesterday there, and the West Orange High School Jazz Band, very talented group of young men and ladies. Very nice job that they did yesterday, entertaining all. It was a really nice event. I believe the show is called Restaurant Impossible.
Okay, there you
go. And congratulations to former Councilwoman Spango and her restaurant for being picked. I heard it was nice to be at the event, and it will be must-see TV for all. He's pretty tough, the host of the show. And let's see, today at Little PR for the town, Commander Scott Kelly from Outer Space conferenced in at Pleasantdale Middle School. They had a little session with the students. So the students got to actually see live feed from Scott Kelly, our own West Orange astronaut. They got to see him up in outer space, and he answered some question to the kids. That was very exciting for Pleasantdale School. And I believe Ms. Cummings is going to send Ms. Anderson, our PR coordinator, some photos that we could get up on the town website. So it was very exciting. The kids, I heard, had a great time. I met with the PR, two commissioners on our PR committee that are realtors, Krista Senek and Tammy Williams. They've been very helpful in planning the realtor open house that we're going to have with the realtors in town. So it was great to sit with them, with our director and also Cynthia Cumming to get, to ask them what are they looking, what do the realtors look for? What kind of information are they seeking out from either the township or the school side to attract folks to West Orange? So it was a very good, productive meeting. We have some good information that we're going to bring back I'll bring back information to Mayor Parisi because he's going to present, and Mr. Rutsky, Cynthia Cummings is going to bring back information to Mr. Rutsky because he's going to present, and hopefully they'll have a lot of information once they leave that open house in February, and we'll continue to promote West Orange in a positive manner. So
I'm so
look
pleased,
forward to
yeah.
that event, yes. And that's all I have for tonight, Council President.
I'm sorry. May I, only just
Thank you.
because
Sure.
Michelle just reminded me about Tammy Williams, because Tammy came before us at our last council meeting, or 2 meetings ago.
Oh, yes, the
about
marker,
the Anna
yes.
Easter Brown marker, so that will actually, the plaque will be put in place. There will be a ceremony at the library on February 5th at noon, open to the public. Should be
Thank
the
you.
start of many markers along Main Street.
Yes, we're very, she brought that to the PR Commission, and we want to start where we could be going to the Historic Preservation Committee, and I see Marty here in the audience, so we could chat about that. So I think it's a nice concept. There's a lot of markers throughout Morristown of people of historic nature being born in the township, in their township, so now we want to bring that here to our township. So the sorority is paying for this, and that's, whenever you are brought these ideas, as we discussed that night at the meeting, how we can move forward and pay for some other markers, and so it's a good starting here with Tammy's organization being very generous in making the payment for this marker, and then we can move forward, maybe working with the Historic Preservation Group to continue this in the future.
Thank you. Councilman Kukoviac?
Yes, thank you, Council President. There was a lengthy meeting last Wednesday, of the West Orange Historic Preservation Commission, and we talked about a lot of issues and a lot of potential next steps. I understand that there was a meeting the previous Monday between the township and the property owners to discuss next steps. I understand Councilwoman McCartney was there, so maybe she could provide more detail about that meeting.
Sure.
I would summarize the decisions at the meeting as we were interested in getting more information about the whole process and situation, that we were looking to help in any way we could, that we were going to seek additional help from outside experts and perhaps financial sources, and very happy to find out from Joe Fagan, the town historian, that he had acquired nearly 100 pictures of the interior of the property, of the structure, and those are extremely important, because if there is going to be a restoration, we have to have very detailed pictures, so we have an idea of what was there, so that it can be restored to that point. I also understand that there was the subcommittee, the St. Mark subcommittee of the commission actually sent a letter to, I believe, the mayor and also to the council president. I don't have a copy of it, but if if the council president has, maybe could talk about what that letter said. I can see a couple of members of the Historic Preservation Commission out in the audience, and I believe they're going to be coming to speak during public comments, so I'm looking forward to those comments. And if Mr. Sayers has any additional information about what's going on with St. Mark's, fill us in on I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, absolutely not. We're working together with the Historic Preservation Commission as well as the owners of the property to try and get the best solution possible. Unfortunately, we're not there yet, and we are moving in the right direction, I think, and it's just a matter of hopefully getting the owners of the property to do what needs to get done. I believe they have had their insurance inspection. I don't know if they had gotten it back yet. We're supposed to have a short little meeting with them tomorrow, Tom Tracy and myself, to get an update on where they're at. So I should know a little more tomorrow, hopefully.
Had their engineer come in to
They
do
did
an
have their
inspection?
engineer in already, from what I understand.
Any stabilization progress at this time?
No, they're supposed to present the report to us, and then we're going to let the commission review it as well as us and see what direction they're looking to go in.
Good. Yes, Councilwoman.
Council President, well, just to follow up on that, at the meeting that we did have last week, I was pleased that it was as civil and respectful as it was, because everyone is very upset about the church. The gentlemen, all of the gentlemen, Mark Hewitt, Jerry Eben, Jerry Gerlin on the planning board also, Marty Filowitz, the Justin Mahalik, the president of AIA, and Elliot Goldstein. And there was another expert in solid timber, I think that's what it was called. Alan Klein were there, pretty much reiterating what they told us, that it does need, the walls need to be stabilized, they need to be protected. And I was pleased to hear that Tom Tracy was already out there telling them that. The deadline for the information was today, that they were to submit all of that information. And now the next deadline will be that needs to get done. So pretty much, it's still, the ball is still in their court, and as much as we would like to see more activity, there's insurance and engineers that they have to deal with.
Councilman Kubiak, which email did you refer to again?
I honestly, I don't know. I understand the subcommittee sent a letter. I don't know whether it was email or by paper. Did you receive anything today, Mr. Sayers?
Because the last email I have is from Mr. Eben. And you were copied on that.
Okay.
In regards to this issue. We'll check it.
Perhaps we'll find out at public comment,
Yeah,
because I
we'll
believe
check
the
it.
final author
Yeah.
is in the audience, so perhaps we could just discuss that.
Okay.
Just a quick
Yeah,
question, just to
please.
clarify. It would be very helpful to just get a good idea of the timeline. So they had a deadline today to respond to
Letting us know,
About
having their people in place, letting us know what had to be done with the building. Tom Tracy, unfortunately, was out sick today, so he was not able to meet with them today. We're going to talk with them tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's where we're at now.
And so is this the full evaluation by both their engineer and architect that needs to be made, or is
It's an evaluation by
it just the structure?
I think it's just to
Stabilization.
stabilize the structure.
Okay, because I believe they have a little bit longer to do that.
Yes, until
Okay.
February.
Okay.
Do they have the funds at this point to stabilize the structure?
That I won't know until I talk tomorrow.
Be very helpful if you could maybe send around a brief email if there are any conclusions from that meeting.
We'll see what happens
Okay.
tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Hopefully, it's good news.
I have 7 pages of notes from the meeting that I did attend, and I did not type them up, but I can share them with you.
Good.
Not that I was taking minutes, but I just did want to get down what
You did take
everyone was
notes?
saying. I always take notes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
That's all. Yes, thank you.
Councilman Guarino?
Thank you, Council President. Just like I said, that the West Orange Downtown Alliance, in conjunction with the National Park Service, is helping the Edison Museum and the total National Park Service celebrate their 100th anniversary this year. 2016 is the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service. You'll be seeing a lot of activity going on, some changes, some banners, lighting changes at the Edison Laboratories going on to celebrate the 100th anniversary. It's something everybody should really go to see. If you go through the country, there's a lot of free days. So if you go to the National Park Service website, www.nationalparks.org.gov, you will see that there are many of the national parks that have free admission days, special activities, and particularly here down at the Edison site right on Main Street. So please enjoy them and look forward to going to that. I'm glad to hear about the procedures going on with St. Mark's and the activities by the Historic Preservation Committee and its members. You know, my kudos to you for the support and effort that you're making to save one of West Orange's national treasures, and it's something that we really have to work hard, and I know the township and the Historic Preservation Commission and the owners of the church will make that effort. Plans in the works coming up for our street fair, which is 6 months away, so we're looking for another exciting West Orange street fair. And tentatively scheduled for February 10th will be our next Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board meeting. Look for that on the website. It will be on February 10th. It will be at 7:30. And this meeting will include surrounding townships of Montclair, Bloomfield, Verona, and Glen Ridge, who are following in West Orange's footsteps. So if you look at the website and notices of this meeting, please book on your calendar February 10th, and hopefully we'll be able to use the county facility. The county has been very, very helpful in letting us use their facility, which has the electronics that we need. Other than that, my congratulations and to the honorees at yesterday's Martin Luther King event. These are people we should be very proud of, examples that we need to follow in the footsteps of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My kudos to the Edison Middle School Choir and, of course, the high school jazz band. Made it an exciting morning event, something that more residents should come out and participate. And just like to thank them and thank the Board of Education, Dr. Rutsky, for hosting it. And again, it's just a great way to see how the residents of West Orange give back to the community. And that's all. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. And yes, I echo that. It was a beautiful event. It was a birthday celebration yesterday of Dr. King. And I just talked about a little bit about the subject of reminding ourselves, and we live in a great community, but once in a while, you know, we must remind ourselves that we have to respect human dignity, a person's self-worth, self-respect. Always think about the consequences that your actions and your words have on people. We always have to keep reminding us of that. And that was one of the drivers behind Dr. Martin Luther King's message. He was taught that early on. As a matter of fact, I talked about yesterday about the fact that Dr. King, at the age of 12, actually attempted suicide because he was struggling. He was struggling in the acceptance of the environment around him and the world that he lived in. When he attended Morehouse College, he came across a gentleman named Dr. Benjamin Mays, who had been working on civil rights issues. He had been working on with the driver being the issue of dignity. And he learned that and acquired that and carry that on through his speeches and his teachings. So I talked a little bit about that, and that's something that I personally and a lot of people I know in the community follow. And we just keep yesterday we reminded ourselves of those values. So thank you again to all. The full council was there. We had a great event, and a lot of the residents that came out, it was a full house. It was so many people. So it was a beautiful event. We forgot to mention Althea Tweet. She was another one of our recipients yesterday. She was recognized for her work on the commission. With that said, we have a couple of minutes left. I see our library directors here. Would you like to give us an update on the activities of the public library?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we have a number of different things. Of course, it's already been mentioned. We're excited about hosting the Alpha Anna Easter Brown historical marker for Alpha Kappa Alpha. It's very exciting to know that the West Orange High School was at where the public library is now. And I think that West Orange should be very proud that a founder of the nation's first black women's Greek society was from West Orange. I think that's phenomenal. I think it's great that that marker is going up, and we look forward to hosting that. We also, coming up on Saturday, February 6th, students from the West Orange High School, High School Chinese Club will be celebrating the Chinese New Year from 1 to 3 p.m. at the library, and all ages are welcome. They always decorate the library up very nicely for that. Thursday, January 28th, for the small children, we've got a stuffed animal sleepover, story time at 4 p.m., and you can drop off your stuffed animal, and they will spend the night, and photos will be taken of the stuffed animals in their location by some of our teen volunteers, and you can look for them online. Coming up this Saturday, January 23rd, provided that there isn't a storm that closes the library, there will be a Discover New Jersey, the Jersey Shore, from 2 to 3:30 p.m. And this is the Jersey Shore has a great deal more to offer than soft sand, sun, and surf. Take the plunge and travel along with lecturer Mario Medici from Sandy Hook to Cape May and discover an array of fascinating towns and history. Lighthouses, beaches, historic buildings, shipwrecks are among the discoveries. This Jersey presentation is sure to please.
Very nice.
And also, I was at the West Orange Hispanic Foundation on Friday, and that I'm very excited about working with the West Orange Hispanic Foundation and all immigrant communities. I think something that we have to remember is that people in different countries don't have many of the great resources that we have. My father was an immigrant. He came over to this country during the Depression and was amazed at the food that we had. And many people come from countries that they don't have resources like public libraries. So I think it's important to reach out and let people know. A volunteer from the West Orange Hispanic Foundation was there today. He's translating policies and different important materials into Spanish for the thousands of Spanish-speaking residents in our community. And I would like to set up, we have a computer lab, I would like to set up computer classes in Spanish, but we would need, of course, volunteers from the Spanish-speaking community who are computer savvy who would be able to teach those classes, and I would make the same invitation to all immigrant communities. If they would like to reach out to me, Dave Kuby, the director, I would be happy to work with you to try to set up educational opportunities for your community in the library. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Kuby. Madam Clerk, it's 7 o'clock.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. A notice of this meeting was emailed to the Star Ledger and the West Orange Chronicle on October 14, 2015. A notice of this meeting was also posted on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, West Orange, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk of the Township of West Orange on October 14, 2015. Councilwoman Casalino?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Cirillo?
Present.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council is now in their public meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to move on to public comments. Any member of the public? You guys flip a coin. That was an absolute tie.
But did the coin flip? I don't know if you saw the game this week.
Yeah, you saw that?
I will.
Jerry,
As usual, I will read my comments.
Can you state your name, please?
Oh, yes, Jerry Gerland, 296 Arenero Drive, West Orange, New Jersey, and a commissioner of the West Orange Historic Preservation Commission, as well as a member of the West Orange Planning Board. And I will appreciate if Council President Cirillo recognizes Mr. Feitowitz after me.
Sure.
Because he is the vice chair of the commission. Okay, he has additional words to add.
Absolutely.
Well, I will read my comments.
Go ahead, Jerry.
There have been, since the last council meeting, other meetings involving the commission, involving private citizens with an interest in this matter, both private and public, one including representatives of the Congregation of St. Mark's, some including various architects and engineers, all licensed to practice their respective professions here in New Jersey, and whose expertise and advice concerning historic structures have been solicited by the Commission by the President of the New Jersey chapter of the American Institute of Architects, and a host of others whose views have been solicited towards the goal of these others and their providing assistance, technical, financial, preservation, public relations, and to political persons in all parts of local, state, and federal governments, all efforts to provide support in any way for the saving of St. Mark's. Unfortunately, the Commission today does not have any further information about the status of St. Mark's than it may have had a week or more ago. In addition, and based on the conversations with the Congregation of St. Mark's, they are providing accurate, verifiable, and meaningful information, particularly as to what has happened and what will happen, has been sparse or none. As a result, there is a continuing concern by the Commission that makes any further information, if any at all, coming from the Congregation of St. Mark's as highly questionable and subject to an increased feeling of mistrust. One issue specifically of concern is that of the investigation presumably being provided by the owner's representatives, architects and engineers, whose identity and professional qualifications have not been provided by the congregation. Since time is of the essence, the Commission has begun to reach out to see if an independent team of architects and engineers can be assembled to provide a separate investigation and recommendations as to the status of the church in its future. You know, it's like seeking a medical second opinion. As such, the Commission is, in this instance, reaching out to the township and perhaps a downtown alliance to see if there are emergency funds that may be available for whole or part participation in this effort. As you may well be aware, the financial resources of the Commission are not in any way able to participate in the funding of this necessary independent effort. Although the Commission has the prime responsibility, as per the West Orange Ordinance, as the lead responsibility in these matters, I remind you that the Commission does not exist in a vacuum, and that what happens to St. Mark's is as critical an issue as there is to the township, its image, its respect and support of, as in this case, a major historical site, not only in West Orange, but in Essex County, the state of New Jersey, and the country. Yes, the church is privately owned, but its existence is certainly within the purview and concern of West Orange, which not only requires West Orange participation in the future of the church, which participation needs to be active and supportive, not only in words, which are much appreciated, but in specific and significant deeds as well. The Commission wishes to thank the West Orange administration for their respective assistance in these matters, and specifically to thank Jack Sayers the business administrator, for his efforts of bringing the parties together for dialogue, the providing of information, and the seeking of still more information, and therefore look forward to another meeting, perhaps soon, to see where we are and where we are going and by whom. We must do all that we can, and as soon as we can, to make sure that St. Mark's, no matter its future form, can and will remain a testament to the West Orange high place and the high esteem that it deserves. Thank you. And a copy of my remarks can be distributed to everyone. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Gerlin.
Thank you, Mr. Gerlins.
Okay, I'm Marty Feitmowitz. I'm the Vice Chairman, as Jerry pointed out, of the Historic Preservation Commission. I live at 17 Bradford Avenue in West Orange. As usual, I think Jerry has used up all the words that can be said about this particular issue, and as usual, they're brilliantly written and stated. I just felt I had to add a few of my own. First of all, to clarify something that Councilman Krakowiak brought up, we did send a letter to the mayor today. Our chairperson, Brian Feeney, has regrettably been in the hospital for the past 5 days, and I worked along with Jerry, composed a letter, and that letter did go out. Unfortunately, there was no time left because Mr. Gerlin had an appointment today that prevented him from sending out copies. So a copy never got to the council president. Okay. So I spoke erroneously before the meeting thinking that it had already gone out. All right, that being said, the essence of the letter was pretty much as Mr. Gerlin just said. It seems to all of us on the commission that an independent study will lend credibility and enable the public, which is heartbroken over the loss of this landmark, to better understand what future options should be considered. And therefore, the commission strongly urges the township to set aside some emergency funds. I'm assuming that there are emergency funds available for emergencies, to employ a team of experts to perform these services. Now, I've done a little bit of calling around. I spoke with the organization known as Partners for Sacred Places. They operate out of Philadelphia. Their whole goal, their purpose of their business is to help churches all over the country in any way they can, whether they're falling in terms of numbers of members or they have repair and maintenance issues, or if they're just looking for a way to lighten their own financial burden through things such as public and private partnerships. And that is still a possible goal if, and the big if, is if we can stabilize the walls that remain and protect them from the winter that we're now in. In fact, there's a storm supposedly heading our way this weekend, and I'm very, very concerned that it's now almost 3 weeks since the fire. No steps have been taken to protect it, and we're sort of in a holding pattern, waiting for a variety of reports to come in. And I understand from Jack Sayers that the report that was due today will be submitted tomorrow due to Tom Tracy's illness. I just really wanted to also put out there that it is not necessary to go through a whole hog redo of the survey if a competent survey has been done by competent architects and engineers. You may only need a peer review of that study along with an on-site inspection. So it may not be necessary to do the whole thing all the way through all over again. But I urge you tonight to consider setting aside some funds to have this study performed. I also would like to say that there are so many people in the community, and even past residents of the community who may not be living here anymore, that are terribly heartbroken and devastated by the loss of their beloved church. And I was just thinking that perhaps we can establish a Friends of St. Mark's organization, and they may be willing to contribute some time and maybe some money to the effort that's facing us right now. So in closing, I just want to say that we all know how much the historic church has meant to our local community and to the state of New Jersey. And we stand ready as a commission to assist the township in everybody's efforts, all working together. We can make this arise from as if it was reborn again, and make this a viable part of our community, an important part of our community along a very historic corridor. We already have the Edison National Park, hopefully the Edison redevelopment project soon. St. Mark's was a landmark, an anchor. We want to see it come back. Thank you. I don't have anything to give you. But
Thank you for those kind words and for outlining some options for us. We appreciate that. We'll,
thank you, Mr. Council President.
Council President, if I, by your leave, could I just ask a quick question while he's still up here?
Sure.
I just wanted to ask you about this request for emergency funding. Do you have any sort of quantification, or have you taken the steps to try to find out how much money we're talking about here?
I'm reaching out to different contacts that I have. The Partners for Sacred Places have been very helpful in recommending some people, and I'm trying to get a sense of it. If it's a peer review, it would be less than launching a study from scratch and doing everything that was already done. We just, as Mr. Guarino said, we're skeptical. We don't know who did this study. I asked that question point blank when the group met a week ago Monday, and the answer was, we don't know the names of the people. Now, that left me very, very concerned. So one way or another, I will be able to come up with a number. I've done studies like this throughout my 50-plus year career. It really, each one is unique, and this is a tough situation. A lot of the stuff is still buried under the debris, but I can assure you that I'll get back to whoever, to all of you, and give you some ballpark number.
Yes, we're in the budget process now, so
Yeah,
the sooner the better.
Well,
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry to cut you. Okay. I need to emphasize that time is of the essence. I know commissions and councils and government, they all meet intermittently, but in that intermittent period, things have to happen. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so the public can understand the pressures that we're faced with, we have the public library in need of $500,000 with no facade currently. And we have this option here with value that it's really difficult to enumerate. But I do want to say that that we want to ask the administration to see if we can find a way that we can bridge communication. It sounds like we're starting to break communication with between the current ownership, legal or professional assessments, and the representatives of our community.
Councilman, with all due respect, we don't have any reports yet. You know, everybody wants the
Right, that's
report.
right, that's
We
right.
haven't gotten it yet, so the minute we get it and we look at it, we will be more than happy to share it with people. Bottom line is, we don't have it yet, and we've been
It's
doing...
premature.
Right, we've been doing our due diligence to stay on top of them to get it done. So, you know, we're waiting to get it completed, and once it gets completed, obviously, Mr. Tracy's going to see if the architects and the engineers are qualified people to do what they're doing. That's our job. That's what we have to do. It's not like we're sitting around and not letting that happen. We're doing that. We're doing
No.
our due diligence.
No, what I'm saying is if it's possible for the committee, the commission to find, for us to help them bridge communication, because we're starting to, at least that's what I gather from the first two speakers.
No, definitely. I mean, when we had the meeting the other day,
break.
my take from the meeting was they didn't have anybody hired at that time, or they didn't have anybody looking at it. Now, my discussion with Tom today, he said to me that he had spoke with them, and they said that the engineer had come in and done most of the study, and that the inspectors from the insurance company were in and had spoken to them. So hopefully tomorrow I'll have some more information regarding that.
Mrs. Sayers, I'm sorry, Council
Go
President.
ahead, please.
There's one conduit for the information, right? Everything's supposed to flow through your office, correct?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, we've been distributing it. I've been talking to Mr. Feeney, who I believe distributes the information to his committee. I've also been talking with Justin Mihalik, who is the president of the AIA, who was here last week. I spoke to him again this morning. So we are communicating and trying to do the best we can to get resources in place to get things done. As a matter of fact, as Marty was talking about possibly doing an independent study, when I talked to Mr. Mihalik today, he had said that they were actually looking for people who would volunteer their time to do that for us. If, in fact, you know, understand one thing, we don't own this property. So the bottom line is, from a legal perspective, I mean, there's probably a way as the municipality we can force our way onto the property, but it's their property. So we have to see what they're going to give us first. If what they give us first is something that we're not happy with or something that we don't feel is professional, then I think we have a little better, then I think we have more of a chance to be able to get in there and do something on an independent basis. But I think we have to get that first.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Council
Thank you
President.
for being on top of that, and some of my colleagues agree that you've been very, very proactive. So we appreciate that.
We're just trying to, look, everybody knows, and we're all on the same page as to what we want to have happen. And hopefully we can get that accomplished. If we cannot, there's going to be reasons for that, but we're all moving in the right direction.
Are the
Thank you,
owners
Mr.
open
Sayers.
to the assistance?
The owners,
didn't
it's
say-
hard to say.
they
I
didn't
mean,
say.
I'm not saying they're not open to it, and again, I don't want to really discuss them
Sure.
at this point, but the bottom line is, we are staying on top of them and pushing them in the direction that we need them to go in. What gets done between now and our timeframes, as I said at the last meeting, hopefully it all gets done. If it doesn't, then our next move is to bring them into court. If they don't get them done within the timeframes we need the things done in, then we bring them into court, and the judge is going to basically tell them, hey, you have to do X, Y, and Z. Or if they don't do X, Y, and Z, at that point, maybe that's when the judge says, well, if you're not going to do it, then they're going to do it, and they're going to put a lien on your property, or you're going to pay them, or whatever. There's a lot of moving parts to this right now, and we're
Right.
trying to get it done in a quick and efficient manner and in a way that is beneficial to everybody.
And I know Mr. Eben had given you, we had discussed, he had given you a document in regards to our rights as a township with the historic site. Have legal investigated that?
I spoke to them myself. We have no right to do anything on that property at this point because they are the owners of the property and we are not the owners of the property. Once we take an interest in the property in some way, shape, or form, then at that point we would have to talk with them and report to them. Actually, I spoke to two people last week from Department of Environmental Commission with regard to historic preservation. Actually, I think I have their names here someplace. One guy's name was Jonathan Kenny, and the other guy was Bob Craig. And I had discussions with both of them, and they said at this point, there's nothing else you really can do. You don't have to report anything to us unless we take some interest in the property. And he says, at that point, then give me a call and we'll explain to you what you have to do. So as of right now, we're still in limbo.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Sayers.
Thank you.
We're still on public comment. Any other members of the public? Yes, Mr. Eben?
Good evening, I'm Jerry Eben, 26 Walker Road. In fact, today is my 39th year and 11 months at that location. Marcia and I moved in February of 1976. So I want to thank the council president for his kind words when I reviewed the council meeting from 2 weeks ago. As you know, I was not able to be present. I was in Passaic trying to save a building that, like our church, had burned pretty severely. And I want you to know that as part of that team, we were successful in saving that building in Passaic, and much needed affordable housing of 34 apartments, some for disabled people, will be put back into that building, which has a classic masonry facade that dates from about 1930. It's not a historic building, but we saved the building. I saved a house on Walker Road about 10 years ago, similarly, and fixed that building up. You described, Council President, you described how passionate I am of our community, and I've worn many hats over the nearly 40 years of being a resident here, and I exhibit a broad community action with a goal to promote the value to the general public, believing strongly that this is essential in fostering a just society. I come before you this evening to continue that quest, to advocate the importance of my profession as an architect, and in doing so, striving to influence others in the commitment to endorsement and educating government officials like yourself, state and federal leaders, and in the general public that will be here tonight and the general public that will see this on the video. When I could not be here 2 weeks ago, within days I got Mark Hewitt, FAIA, Elliot Goldstein, AIA, and Justin Mahalik, AIA, to stand here where I stand tonight and explain to you what actually has to happen. Mark Hewitt is a nationally known architectural historian, and Ellie Goldstein, who was educated in the school system of West Orange, is an expert in heavy timber construction. I would hope that we would try to get those two gentlemen involved in this as we go on. Since their presentation, I've been working very hard to save this church through connections of the Neal family, specifically my daughter-in-law Meredith, and her sister Amanda, who lives with me when she's not living in Vienna. They have helped me contact important leaders of the Newark Diocese, the owners of the St. Mark's Church, until March of last year. I want you to know that they're searching their archives, looking for anything relating to drawings, photographs, written reports that can be used to recreate this iconic structure. An early representative of what Phoebe Stanton, the late Phoebe Stanton, called the beginning and the end of Gothic revival architecture in the United States. This church, the beginning and the end. You have already heard from Mr. Hewitt last 2 weeks ago. He explained who Richard Upjohn was and how he was responsible for the additions and the renovation of the interior of the church, starting at the beginning of the Civil War and extending 15 years forward from that. I'm working with the archivist at the American Institute of Architects in Washington, D.C., to see if they might have, because of the connection of Richard Upjohn, any drawings that they might have in their files. In addition, Kenneth Underwood, Marnie knows him, FAIA, lives in Glen Ridge. He's about 100 years younger than the church. In other words, he's about 88 years old. He completed some pro bono work, as well as work that he was paid for in 1989 or 1990. He has been a source of sending me emails as he remembers what he did, some of the things that he did, and he informed me that most of the window work that was done at that time, so we're talking about 25 years ago, or 28 years ago, was done from Rambush, which is a specialty century-plus-old company whose business is only to work on historic houses of worship. I haven't contacted Rambush yet, but I'm hoping that if they worked on the windows, they have drawings that are only 25 years old, so we can rely on those. I'm going to take care of that in the next couple of days. When I stood before the council back in October, minus, of course, Councilman CASALINO, because I was looking to be the council member, I spoke about our community being our identity. Historic preservation equals economic development, and we must bring our traditional center downtown back to life through rebuilding this corridor. I had no idea that I would be back here literally months later, asking my local government to step in and help preserve what is left of this iconic building. I am, if nothing else, a community enthusiast whose initiatives have enhanced the stature of the built environment, and this is why I immediately went into action as soon as I saw the report from Brian Thompson on NBC News. I've asked our acting planner, Paul Greigel, what can be done. His quick reply to me late last week was that we could create an area in need of development. As such, a professional report could be generated, and most certainly the Historic Preservation Commission and the Planning Board could work together with a professional firm retained to deliver this report, hopefully in a short time period. I would ask that the Council and the Administration review Chapter 19 in the Municipal Land Use Law in its entirety. The actual law that I passed on to Mr. Sayers last week speaks of securing authorization from the Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection. We just heard that he talked to them. I would hope that Mr. Sayers will send a letter to them and so it's official.
Your time is
Historic
up.
building of sufficient importance can be, in fact, be obtained. Funds from gifts, foundation grants, municipal appropriations, or other sources for the acquisition of the property. Its reservation for a year would afford time for interested parties to raise the funding to purchase the site. Justin Mahalik, who Mr. Sayers talked about, is the president of AIA New Jersey, and he sent a letter to Russ Davidson, president of the national organization, seeking funding for at least the stabilization of this iconic structure. The letter was copied to Robert Ivy, FAIA, Executive Vice President, CEO, and Jeff Potter, FAIA, President of the Architects Foundation, which gives that kind of money out. I know all three gentlemen. I worked with them when I was on the national board a few years back. I guess my time is up. I just want to know, I want you to know that I'm committed to save this church. I'm hoping that we can get as many people together to do that. The Downtown Alliance, Historic Preservation Commission certainly should take the lead, and hopefully the administration and this council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Eben.
I can send
All
you,
your proactive
I can
work.
send you these remarks via email in the next couple of days.
Yes, that would be great. We can reference all the names that you mentioned and all the folks that are involved. It'll help us greatly. Friends of St. Mark's, would that be the, well, I guess we have to, after the meeting, we'll have to think about
Let's think
who
about
would
that.
take the lead, 501c3 status and all that. So there's a lot of work to do. Thank you again, Mr. Eben. Any other member of the public? Yeah, I saw this hand first. Hi, Claire.
Good evening. Claire Silvestri, 20 Grandview Avenue. I have a few questions about the ordinances on first reading tonight, but first I wanted to add my voice to the many residents and experts who spoke at the council meeting last council meeting, as well as tonight about St. Mark's Church. My heart goes out to the members of that congregation, but I hope the tragedy that destroyed their worship space on New Year's Day is not compounded by the destruction rather than the restoration of this historic landmark. When I saw the building that Friday morning, I was sick to my stomach. But after listening to the members of the Township Historic Preservation Commission and the New Jersey chapter of the American Institute of Architects 2 weeks ago, I realized that there really is some hope to save St. Mark's. So I urge the Town Council and administration to do everything in their power to ensure the structure is not torn down and the property slated for redevelopment. I'm aware that St. Mark's is private property, but due to its designation on the national, state, and local registers of historic places, it's also a public treasure, and the township should be utilizing every avenue available to it to save it for future generations. Now to the ordinances. On the printed agenda, ordinance number 2473-16 is described as an ordinance regarding, quote, tobacco product vending machines. However, when you read the language of the ordinance, it's actually about raising the age to purchase cigarettes and smoke in public from age 19 to 21. Frankly, I'm surprised the legislation is being proposed at this time, as a bill is sitting on the governor's desk that would raise the age statewide. But my real reason for bringing this up is that the language on the agenda is actually misleading. I recall some years ago, the council president and administration made a commitment to include in each meeting's agenda a plain language description of the legislation listed, meaning a sentence or two that summarized the resolution or ordinance for the public's sake. Not only do we rarely see such an explanation anymore, oftentimes, like in this case, the language is misleading. So I'd request, Council President, that as you start your new term, that you recommit to having that plain language summary included with the listing of legislation on all meeting agendas. Regarding Ordinance 2474-16, could we please have a detailed explanation of what parking improvements projected to cost $375,000 are planned for the Gregory School? Is this something that would have to go before the Planning Board? And isn't this actually Board of Education property? And is it true that if the board wanted to do the work and issue the bonds, that they would have to put it out to a public referendum? And finally, Ordinance 2475-16 is for bonding the various capital improvement projects for this upcoming year. I don't have any questions about specific projects listed, but I thought that this might be a good time to request a status report about what's been done to improve the sound system in the council chambers. I noticed there are 2 microphones here. I'd ask Mr. Gross, but I see he's not here this evening. Perhaps Mr. Sayers can give us an update. And I look forward to answers to all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Silvestri. Ms. Moskowitz.
Hi, Roz Moskowitz-Belsky, 11 Wedgewood Drive. I currently represent the Pleasant Valley Civic Association. We are dedicated to the safety and beautification of the Pleasant Valley Way corridor. 2015 was a very productive year for us, and I want to thank the entire council for creating the Pedestrian Safety and Advisory Board. We certainly look forward to having more meetings of that board. Thanks to Councilman Susan McCartney, Councilwoman Susan McCartney, and of course Jerry Guarino, who have attended just about every single meeting for the last 16 months. I want to acknowledge all members of the Pleasant Valley Civic Association for their dedicated efforts in the safety and beautification of Pleasant Valley Way. They continue to come out month after month, and we're plugging away. Actually, prior to Pleasant Valley Civic Association, there was very little advocacy going on for road safety in West Orange. We need to have complete streets enacted on all of our roads, and by complete streets, we mean streets that are designed to enable safe access for all users, including pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, and transit riders of all ages and abilities. This year, with the huge assistance from Partners for Health Foundation and Professor Charles Brown, Senior Research Specialist at Rutgers Transportation Center, West Orange has received data analysis and a complete streets presentation by his students that took 4 months to complete. We are awaiting a date from Jerry Guarino on when this is going to be presented to the town as a follow-up to the October 15th charrette that we had. On Pleasant Valley Way, we continue to be plagued by the same problems that we've been plagued by for a number of years. Motorists continue to blow past the stop sign on 280. They come off 280 easily going 45 or 55 miles an hour. They go by this, they continue past the 2 schools that are on Pleasant Valley Way, the high school and Pleasantdale Elementary School, and continue at very high speeds through the Pleasantdale Business District. Where are the flashing school zone lights that are in every other community? Where are the speed boxes that have been purchased by the town in order to collect the data that we need to go to the county to get a lower speed district, to get a lower speed limit? I know I travel the roads like we all do in Essex County, and I can't tell you another town that doesn't have a 25-mile-an-hour school zone, at least when the school is open in the morning and when it's letting out in the afternoon. The business district in Verona, in Montclair, in South Orange, and in Milburn all have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. We don't. We have various limits that, of course, is another problem because nobody knows what the speed limit is, but I can tell you one thing, it's not 25 miles an hour. And all you have to do is sit in Dunkin' Donuts and look out that window, and trucks blow by and continue to speed, and it's really bad for the businesses in this district. Because if you're going to go by fast, you're not going to stop. You don't know what's there, you don't know what shops are there, and with the new kidney dialysis center, I hope there's a no left-hand turn coming out of there, because it's going to be a disaster. I remember when Blockbuster was there, it was really difficult to take a left-hand turn out of that. This past weekend, in front of a synagogue in Highland Park, there was a 6-year-old was tragically killed by a man that was speeding, texting, and the problem that we have is that the street is so close to the sidewalk. Okay, we have 5 synagogues, we have 3,000 school children, we have 4 nursing homes. Okay, we can't continue this way. We have to slow down the speeds, and we have to adhere to complete streets. Now, I know the township has adopted complete streets. I know there's a checklist. I know the planning board has a checklist. I'm not sure if we're adhering to it, because I know on Rooney Circle, there's the Cambria Heights, is it, that develop, and the LA Fitness. Okay, we have 2 major developments on Rooney Circle. There's no sidewalk. Okay, why is there a sidewalk on Rooney Circle? I can't walk. I should be able to walk up Marion Drive to Rooney Circle and go to LA Fitness. I can't do that without sometimes I pick up old ladies coming home from ShopRite because they have bags. They're walking either on the road, and it's a skinny road, Marion Drive. So we want to know where those speed boxes is. We need the data. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moskowitz. Yes, ma'am. Huh?
Hi, Lori. Just name and address.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, this is my first time here. I'm Lori Kapfer. Hi. I'm Lori Kapfer. I'm a resident of 65 Fitz Randolph Road. I'm here for the Pleasant Valley Civic Association. Again, I echo much of what Roz had just stated. Thank you for your support of our efforts to make Pleasant Valley Way and really all of our roadways in West Orange more pleasant and just places that are safe for our community members. I'll share a story. I walk with my children to school each day. My children attend Pleasantdale Elementary School, which is, they've enjoyed, I mean, just today they had former resident Scott Kelly, who's, up in the International Space Station. They have all kinds of opportunities at Pleasantdale that they enjoy. One of the things that they enjoy most is walking to school. The observations that they make and what I observe when I walk them to school is that, there are drivers who, like Roz had stated, are going way beyond that 25-mile-per-hour school zone, school speed limit. In fact, I don't know how many of you have tried to drive on Pleasant Valley Way. When I drive it, I find that I have a hard time actually adhering to the 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. And I'm not a reckless driver, I promise. It's just that the way that the roadway is designed is actually, I think it's, especially if you're coming off of 280, it's actually very difficult to drive at that speed. And I think for drivers who are, particularly in the morning, trying to get to work, maybe they're late, maybe they're not, but they have somewhere to go, and they're driving very quickly, and I don't know if it's that they don't notice or they don't care that they really are supposed to be driving 25 miles per hour, and it makes it very unsafe for the children who are walking there. A couple of months after we had started our walks last September 2014, we actually had one of the neighbors tell us that we really shouldn't be walking on Pleasant Valley Way, that we should be walking through the high school property because it was not safe for us to be walking on Pleasant Valley Way. And I think that's awful. I mean, I think it's shameful. Other towns do have the flashing beacons, the noticeable speed limit signs, the reputation for enforcement, and I wonder where that is for us. We do have the Complete Streets resolution, and I wonder as well if and how that's being implemented. I believe Paul Greigel said that maybe the step to really, to make sure that that resolution has some teeth is that we have to have it as a part of our master plan. But I would just encourage that maybe we could look into that. So for, at least for town streets, that we can be implementing the Complete Streets resolution that we, that you had passed. I don't know how many other residents I speak for, but anything we can do to, I'm not sure how we approach the county to ask for their help. I know that, Pleasant Valley Way is a county road. I'm not sure whose responsibility it is to be sure that the roadway is safe for children, and who really is, who enforces and who directs what that school zone looks like. But I feel like we need to make a change. We need to make sure that our roads are safe for all users, not just drivers. So again, if there are ways that we can work to expand the school zone, lower the speed limit, increase the signage, I feel like that's a big one. I think people don't even see that that's 25 miles per hour that they're supposed to be going there, and increase the enforcement. I think that would serve to help West Orange to be in step with other towns, and maybe even to set example for other towns. We can send the message that we take care of our town treasures. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would yield some time to my colleague later on. He's well-versed on some of these initiatives.
Thank you,
Councilman Guarino, please address some of these points. Any other member of the public? Seeing none. Councilman Guarino,
yes,
let's talk about this issue.
Okay, thank you, Council President, thank you, my colleagues. To Roz and Lori, thank you for coming tonight and making your feelings known. You're tremendous members of the Pedestrian Advisory Board, and you've been very helpful when we put it together, so thank you, and we need more people like you. To answer your question is a question I have for Mr. Lepore, and that is, Mr. Lepore, where are the speed boxes that we spoke about, and I assume that we bought, and because to go back to Lori and the Roz situation, for us to get the county to work with us, when I proposed an additional ordinance to adjust the speed limit based upon sections of Pleasant Valley Way, what puts the meat into the ordinance will be, and what the county will support us, is if I have the raw data that shows that, yes, people are really abusing the speed limit on Pleasant Valley Way. So that's the one issue. The whole idea of complete streets. I spoke to Professor Brown today. He's pulling together, his students are going to come, and we're going to set a date, probably toward the end of February, he said, because a lot of them have changed their classes, their scheduling, but they are very excited to do the presentation on the complete streets and the restructure for West Orange, which what I've looked at, and of course Roz and Laura, you've seen it, it's a fantastic piece of work and development that we could use. But getting back to the thing is, and also a question to Mr. Lepore, not to put the township engineer, is I assume that there was going to be a repair to the flashing lights in front of the high school and Pleasant Valley Way. I mean, maybe Mr. Lepore can come up and answer the questions I have, or would you like to wait till later, Council President?
No, please.
Mr. Lepore,
yeah.
could you...
I think we would benefit from status and where we are.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. With respect to the speed boxes, they're actually in the police department traffic division. So I will follow up with them and where they've deployed them in the data that they've collected, because they're responsible for deploying them, gathering data, and printing reports from that data.
All right. If you can do that, Mr. Lepore, I'd appreciate that so the council knows, because that's what the purpose was of those boxes. And we critically spoke about Pleasant Valley Way.
Correct.
And it would help, the data would help us when we conduct the ordinance. It puts meat into it so the county would have a little bit more respect for the data and understand the critical situation of slowing down the pace of the cars on Pleasant Valley Way.
And second, with respect to the this flashing school speed zone signs, hopefully by the end of this month I'll have worked with the county trying to expand that zone both to the north towards Greenwood Avenue in the south towards past Elisa Drive, even towards Cecil Lane Place. So trying to work with them to get as much length of a school speed zone as possible along Pleasant Valley Way. And then we'll put in completely different signs.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lepore. Council President, if I may, just to complete, Roz and Lori, before you came in, I also mentioned that we're going to have a meeting February 10th with the county-wide pedestrian safety like we had last quarter with Bloomfield, Montclair, Verona, Glen Ridge, and I've offered to host it at the Essex County Educational Center. And I also think I'd like to have our pedestrian safety meeting maybe that same night and bring everybody together, have a good turnout, and get an idea, because the county has gained some great respect for that get together. And Brendan Gill will be there, Freeholder Brendan Gill, which gives us a little more credence, gives us more respectability and more quantitative ability to get our point across. And you've seen the results that we're getting. I think the county's taking us more seriously. So with this additional meeting and the additional information that we'll get from the speed boxes when we get it, and when the ordinance is put in place, it would really it will be a benefit, especially with the flashing lights, to the safety, especially for our students on Pleasant Valley Way, and a benefit to our merchants on Pleasant Valley Way, because part of complete streets is traffic control, traffic speeds, because the whole idea is to slow people down so they see the businesses and they can stop and they can shop. And it's just part of the whole structure of moving it forward. And that's what we're trying to do. I think, our pedestrian safety board, we've really made some big inroads. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from the freeholders, who see what we've done. A lot of communities in the area, especially the 5 communities that I spoke about at the next meeting, have seen what we've done, and we're actually far ahead of them. And, of course, our continued thanks to Partners in Health for assisting us in the financing and getting us the grant. And, of course, the continued thanks to Rutgers University, Professor Charles Brown and his students at the Edward Braustein School of Government Planning and Affairs. So we're on the right track. But Lori and Roz, thank you for coming tonight, because I want people to hear exactly what the community has to say, and that we're not covering our ears, but we're listening, and we're going to get these things accomplished. And thank you to the township engineer for telling us where the speed boxes are and what's going on with the flashing lights. So that's the
Thank
part.
you for your proactive work, and Councilwoman McCartney as well for your involvement with this issue. We'll come back to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have remarks on some of the other topics that were brought up.
Thank you, Councilman.
We'll start with Councilwoman Casalino.
Well, I have a question for Mr. Sayers in regards to the sidewalks in the Essex Green Complex and down Marion Drive. Is there anything we could do there, or do we have to work with Essex Green?
I'm not so sure exactly what we can do, because, again, it's not our property. If there are some issues with regard to reasonings why they should have them in there, we can explore those, but I'd have to look at the law, because I'm not very familiar with it, to be quite honest with you.
Rooney Circle, so that would not be...
No, I know where it is. I'm just saying, I don't know if there's what the rule is, and whether we can force them to put sidewalks in there or not.
Okay, cool. So you could look into it?
Yes, definitely.
Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to finish?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Roz and Lori, for coming down. I know my time spent on the school board, it was always very frustrating whenever, we would make inquiries about Pleasant Valley Way and going to the county and then not listening. So I applaud all of you and my colleagues for putting together the committee, because now they are listening. So you would hope that they're going to move a little faster and hopefully have something in place shortly. And Lori, I really commend you, because I know where you live on Fitzrandolph, and that's a nice walk in the morning with your children. So good for you. I know Principal Polera had the walk to school, and she had walked it from Caldwell, actually, to go to work. So I applaud you for that effort with your children. Not an easy task. So I look forward to that data and to attend those meetings as well. And in regards to St. Mark's Church, I just want to thank Jerry and Marty for coming down this evening. Your passion always resonates. Jerry, you've been educating me on the phone as well, and asking questions and learning a lot about the structure. And I really do appreciate your passion, because it is a national historic landmark. We do take that seriously. And I just hope that the owners of the property appreciate the support that this community has for the property. I hope their membership pushes to rebuild the structure and has that support. And I also hope they don't have a very large mortgage on the property, and they get their insurance money, because obviously they'll have to cover the mortgage first, and hopefully whatever's left over will go towards towards rebuilding. And with the efforts that these gentlemen and the Architect Association hopefully could provide with grants and other ways of funding, hopefully that National Treasure could get rebuilt. So thank you again, everyone, for coming down. Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Krakowiak?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate all of the speakers at public comment coming up and talking about a variety of really vital issues to the township. And we need to be responsive, obviously, and also to respond to the questions. Ms. Silvestri raised a number of questions about the ordinances. I'm sure that was directed towards the administration, which is proposing the ordinances, as far as I can tell. But just very briefly, she mentioned plain language in the agenda. That's actually required under our ordinance that we amended a few years ago, that all of the agenda items should have plain language. And if we're not doing that, we really should, because our ordinance requires it. My understanding from a response from Mr. Gross, who's not here tonight, was that the proposed improvements on the at the Gregory School are indeed on school property, and it is my understanding as well that if the Board of Education has to borrow, it does have to go out in a referendum to get voter approval for that, whereas the township does not. And the township can issue debt without voter referendum as long as it gets a supermajority of approval from the council. And there's some issues that will come up later on in the meeting. We, as a township, have put on a tremendous amount of debt over the last few years. Since the end of 2010, we've added 31% to our issued and authorized debt, well over $18 million. And if we approve the two pending ordinances, bond ordinances tonight, and I think that may show you what happens when you don't have to get voter approval for borrowing, that it can run up very quickly. I also wanted to ask Mr. Sayers, I had said it in the questions before the meeting, wanted to ask you if there was any update on the Edison redevelopment. I know we're focusing a lot on Main Street, but as you know, the last council meeting, you said there was a problem with the title search. Apparently, there's a teeny piece of property, probably the footprint of the podium over there, that seems to have caused some problem in the. But I'm just wondering where that stands, because we've been waiting a long time.
What I can tell you is that issue has been resolved. It went before the Freeholder Board last week. The Freeholder Board approved turning the property over to the redevelopers. So we've resolved that issue, and we are hopefully going to be speaking with them within the next couple of days to see what other issues that may still be outstanding that we may be able to help them with, if in fact there are any. If not, we're pushing to get this thing moving. That's the best update that I have at this point. But that issue has been resolved.
Any news about the $70 million construction loan?
That was one of the issues that was holding up the title search with regard to the financing. And that, like I said, that was resolved end of last week. So I'm not sure exactly where we're at yet until we have another conversation with them.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, I'd love it if the council could get an email just to
Absolutely.
summarize what's going on.
No, I'll keep you posted.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we should have a report for the next meeting.
Yeah.
So they agreed to the quick claim deed?
Excuse
They
me?
agreed to do a quick
Yes.
claim deed, good.
Yes, I thought it was supposed to be delivered today, but I'm not sure.
But Ms. Silvestri had just asked a few questions. I don't know if you wrote them down,
Here, you go.
but did want to, I think she was...
Sound system.
Yes, sound system and...
Good news is that we did have someone in here last week to do a couple of our new microphones and put some new wiring in here. We didn't have it all completed, but we did have, as you can see up at the podium now, we have 2 microphones up there, and that's the best update I can give you on our sound system. And this was all mic'd out and rewired on this side also. So hopefully that's going to help us.
No more sharing microphones.
Thank you, Mrs. Sayers. Councilman Kukoviac, anything else?
I was just going to say, Ms. Silvestri also asked about proposed ordinance 2473-16, which was having to do with tobacco products. And I just did a quick Google, and it looks like the governor vetoed the proposed legislation a few hours ago. So
Not surprising.
we're in that situation now. So we at least got that uncertainty over with, at least for this legislative session, I believe. That's all, Council President.
Ken?
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Guarino, I know you proposed this ordinance change. Tell us a little bit about the background and why, being that the state is also acting on a similar issue.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you. I proposed this ordinance because basically our children are smoking at a younger age and smoking heavier and longer. The health complications from additional smoking, from the additional secondhand smoking, are issues I think are things that we need to address. And by addressing it at the age of purchasing tobacco products and re-energizing the fact, will basically make it it's a social issue. It's a quality of life issue to looking at, people smoking at an early age. With the health issues that people are going through today, the more and more they're exposed to smoke, the more and more our young people are exposed to smoke, the more and more our young parents are exposed to smoke and smoking. Not just saying secondhand smoke, but smoking themselves, or with the child, and child-born illnesses and child-born deformities. I did my research with Harvard University and the issues, and I wish I had my laptop today to show you, make a presentation, but from the initial research I'm doing, 17 states across the country are pushing for greater increases in the legal age of purchasing tobacco products. West Orange would be the second township in the state of New Jersey to propose an increase in the legal age of purchasing tobacco products. Right now, I know Councilman Kukoviac brought up that the governor, in all his wisdom, vetoed the legislation to increase it to 19. I believe there is enough impact and momentum within the state and within the state assembly and senate to push this through. If we're having alcohol at 21, there's no reason why we can't have tobacco products at 21. It's not negatively impacting anybody. I basically think it's a quality of life issue, something that we need as a township council to look at quality of life issues. And that's why I have my concerns for it, why I wholeheartedly believe in my passion for it, is to move this forward and be an example, as we want to be an example to be the street smart capital of the world, of the United States and New Jersey. I like West Orange to also be the leader in setting forth quality of life issues, especially for our young people. They're so easy to be intimidated to smoke. And if we can at least put some barriers up, we can prevent future smokers from becoming long-term smokers. And that's why, Council President and my colleagues, why I propose this ordinance, something I'm very passionate about. My health issue, being around, people with smoking and all that. It's just something when you see people today, you learn about other health issues and you really experience them. It is a reason why we need to be in the forefront of setting forth these quality of life guidelines. And that's about all I have to say on that, Councilman. I have other things to say.
Please, continue your remarks.
Thank you. To Mr. Gerling, I want to personally thank you for your very kind note that you sent me. Thank you for your concern, sir. It's much appreciated. And I'm doing great. So thank you, sir. To Mr. Gerling, to Mr. Eben, to Mr. Fidowitz, thank you. Your community thanks you, and the Historic Preservation Committee, what you're doing to help save a West Orange treasure is much appreciated. And your Township Council will work with you to make sure we can get this accomplished. I mean, I look at it, and, you know, Mr. Eben and I, 30 years ago, championed to try to save Condit House. We didn't succeed in our efforts, but we lost a great piece of West Orange history right next to St. Mark's. And you have to respect what a lot of the residents of West Orange feel, our architect professionals, our engineers. It's something that we need to keep and need to work. Yes, it's not our property, but it's part of our heritage. It's something that's recognized as a national, state, and local treasure. And we appreciate the efforts, and we look forward to working with you. And please keep us in a loop of any information or things that we can do as a Township Council to move these efforts along. So you should be very proud of your efforts, as I am very proud of you and your organization. To Mrs. Belsky and to Lori Kaffner, you know, thank you. We know we're going to keep this moving, we're going to make it, and we're going to do more for our students and more for our children and more for our community. We want people walking to church and to temple. We want them to feel safe. We want them to be able, they can walk their neighborhoods. Eventually, we'd like to get more bike riders in the community and work with them. Make it a friendly community. Make it a community you can get to any part of West Orange without having to fear for your life. And I believe, you know, when you threw me that challenge and we all worked together, I think we've made the major steps to putting West Orange in a safe thing, especially for your two children back there and their friends and all that. So I thank you, and I thank you for your efforts. And Council President, that's all I have to say, sir.
Excuse me, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. That was a lot.
I'm sorry.
It was effective. Thank you. Yes, Councilwoman.
Can I add one comment?
Yes,
I apologize. Because, again, I don't want to start a whole conversation. We have an ordinance on first reading. But in regards to the Gregory property, can I make a comment on Gregory School, or?
You know what, I want to ask a question too. Can we wait when it comes
Yeah.
up? Can we discuss that then?
Whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Absolutely.
We'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Huh? Yeah.
Lori Ross, thanks again. I'm just going to continue to help advocate for the Pleasant Valley Way safety concerns that we all have. And with the record study, it really did reach townwide. So we'll just continue to plug at that and work with Lenny to find out about the speed boxes and that flashing beacon right there, only feet away from Pleasant Valley Way. Our planning board secretary is here, so I'm going to ask her to put on our February 3rd agenda to talk about complete streets. I know planning board applications do adhere to the tenets and the components of the complete streets. The two sites that you mentioned were zoning board applications, so I will put that on. I want to put it on the agenda to have our acting planning director look into how to amend the master plan to include all applications. The two that you mentioned were zoning applications. I'm sorry if we didn't go that far with the reach. It should have, so we should get it in the master plan to make sure everyone's looking at that. Lori, truthfully, I thought you were going to come in and talk about Girls on the Run, so I'm going to invite you back on February 3rd to give a talk about that.
February 9th.
What's that? February 9th, I'm sorry. I have the chamber breakfast on my mind. Claire, about the resolutions, there is a narrative on our agenda. I believe that it's posted on the website also, the narratives here on the resolutions. And on our ordinances, there is always a legislative history. Talking about the plain language that you mentioned, Madam Clerk, is that also posted on the website? Yes. I'm hoping that that's what you meant, that the legislative history, the plain language, and also there is a narrative on the resolutions if and where appropriate. Right. And I raised the same question about the ordinance on raising the age, the tobacco age, because I did know that that was pending in the state, and no idea why the governor would be interested to see why the governor would veto such a thing. That the state statute would have superseded our ordinance. And just wrapping up on St. Mark's. Again, I don't know. I feel, and I thank the administration, Jerry, building this network of people, and Jerry Gerlin and Marty also just, I believe that we understand time is of the essence. I don't know if that point came across at the meeting that we have with the owners, and I'm hoping it does, and I'm hoping that with Tom Tracy, building inspector, issuing the notices that he has, they really do understand that message that time is of the essence. Justin Mahalik, in my notes from that meeting, Justin did talk about a GoFundMe page, so that may be helpful for the church if and when that becomes necessary. I'm even thinking the second opinion may be a little premature because we need to hear from them. You're saying no, but I do want to have a second meeting, but I want to have it with the owners to hear where they are. And then, truly, time is of the essence that they need to know well, right, the pending storm makes it even worse. I think what scares me is what Brian Feeney did say at the meeting about demolition by neglect. And 50-mile-an-hour winds that are predicted this weekend are not good. So, Jack, we're just hoping that we see that report and we get dates in line to put pressure on them to really get that point across that time is of the ultimate essence.
Great. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you to all the members of the public for your involvement and your passion and your advocacy in all these different issues. And I look forward to the rest of the dialogue today. I think we covered everything in regards to response. I do want to say that this issue of the Friends of St. Mark's is something that we should really look into, especially since we may be limited in terms of tax funds that can be allocated. We talked about emergency funds. I don't know the last, I don't believe that exists. But if we could, we will. Like the councilman mentioned, it's budget season, and we are starting to review and consider all the needs out there. With that said, Madam Clerk.
Okay, we're going to review the consent agenda. Approval of minutes of previous meeting, continuation of December 15th public meeting, and the January 5th public meeting.
Consent.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids, none. There were no bills. Resolutions, are any resolutions being pulled this evening?
Any resolutions,
Council President, I don't have any.
Seeing none?
If I could, Council President.
Council.
I don't want to pull any of the 4 resolutions on the agenda, but I just wanted to point out that Resolution 2116 authorizes the rebate of successful property tax appeals that amounted to, in the calendar year 2015, about $816,000. And while that sounds like a lot, it's less than half of what it was in 2014. So we've been talking a lot about this, that the tax appeals are going down. We actually see that they are, so let's hope they keep going down further. But I just wanted to point that out, so I think it's something a lot of people will be interested in.
Thank you, Councilman, for tracking that, and it's helpful to us, obviously, as well. So we appreciate that comment. Anyone else?
No.
Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented.
Moving on. Ordinances on second and final reading. We don't have any?
We do not have any. The trap noodle release will be on February 9th.
February 9th.
That will be the second and final reading. We do have ordinances on first reading. 2473-16, an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Sections 8.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, and 16 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of West Orange, tobacco product vending machines. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 2474-16, bond ordinance authorizing parking improvements at Gregory School in and for the Township of West Orange in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $375,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $357,140 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes, here where I can make a comment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so before I left the school board, I saw a plan that, because there's been so many issues over at Gregory School, not just on Gregory Avenue, but on Lowell and the surrounding areas with the parking. And the biggest issue were the buses. The buses are in the back of the school on top of the lot. So before I left the district, there was a plan, actually there was 3 plans, I'm not sure what was picked. It wasn't really discussed at length. Mr. Rusky was speaking directly with the mayor, and we didn't have a formal meeting about it. But they were working on trying to resolve that issue by putting a bus loop through the front of Gregory School. I believe this is the same plan.
I'm not sure if it's the same plan, but we have had several meetings with the public as well as members of the Board of not members of the Board of Education, teachers from the school, as well as I believe the principal was there, and Mr. Rutsky was at the meetings. But that is the genesis of the plan, is to improve the parking area and put the bump out in so that the buses can come in, drop the kids off, rather than have the buses pulling on Gregory Avenue and kids getting off the bus when traffic's going by in the morning. And also buses that were going on Walker Road, where they were bringing them in the side of the building
Yes.
and actually stopping on Walker Road, which became kind of like a hazard.
So I know this is a quality life issue for the surrounding area and traffic and safety in regards, so I could see why the township would support this. However, this is a perfect example of why we need to have these Township Council Board of Ed liaison meetings. Because sitting here as a council member and when I was a board member, I'm still not positive of exactly what the plan is. So I'll be asking the appropriate questions between now and the second reading, but I think it's important that we go back to having these meetings on at least a quarterly basis, so we could troubleshoot and, have
Absolutely.
a little more knowledge of what's happening. But I just wanted to double check with you, that was what they're doing here, is the loop, as far as you know.
Yes.
Okay, because I know there's a big issue there, and there was conversation back when I was on the board. There wasn't anything final. So it's nice to see you here and try to get it resolved, but, we definitely need some more information, so.
Actually, Mr. Lepore and I took a ride up there today, and I would just say, take a ride by there someday.
We know.
In the morning or in the
It has
afternoon,
been-
and try and even get through the parking lot.
Right.
And I know
There's cars parked on the lawn, it's ridiculous.
Why-
Somebody's going to get hurt up there big time.
And I know there was concern of going around, because they just put in that beautiful plaza in the front of the school where we were all, I believe, we all went to the unveiling a few years ago. And I know
Centennial.
that is not going to be removed, that's still going to be in place, because, they just spent a lot of money there and it came out beautifully. So they're going to go around that somehow. I don't know what they, decided to do and how much parking it would gain, but I know it would definitely alleviate the buses off Walker and in the back of the school. So thank you for confirming that.
Council President.
Yes.
Our engineer is right here. Lenny, have you been on these meetings? Do you know which plan they're talking about? That you know that the parking issues at Gregory have been a serious concern for many, many years, and Public safety is involved.
It's a plan that's going to address a few different issues. One, to provide improved safety by taking buses off of Lowell Avenue,
Right.
putting them on a bus loop in front of the school, and then second, to also provide additional parking for school administrators and staff. As Jack Sayer said today, there's probably a good 12 to 15 cars that are not parked within marked stalls in the staff lot. There's about 51 stalls in that lot now. Have a plan to expand that by up to about 74 parking stalls. So that should help, not just help, but it'll even provide a little bit of wiggle room if there's some other peaks on some other days. And also, with respect to the loop in front, we can add some parallel or angled parking in front. Don't think we made a final decision which one, but that's going to be parking that's just very limited as to who can pull in there, certainly because we don't want buses and the public pulling in there at the same time. So we're probably going to end up with a good maybe 25 to 30 additional parking stalls and the bus drop-off lane in front of the building.
Mr. Sayers, now in the mornings, I believe, and in the afternoons, are we sending crossing, like what's the staff that you're providing with I know.
We have one crossing guard on that corner.
Okay.
As of right now.
And at times, I know the police come in to direct
Yes.
traffic at multiple times.
We've had officers out there in the morning because of, one of the bigger problems is not only the bus drop-offs, but the buses can't navigate that driveway even to get into the parking lot and drop kids off. And then the second issue is there's obviously people who bring their children to school. They can't get in and out of the parking lot in the morning either. So it's a very difficult situation. And after we met with members of the public as well as the teachers from the school, the principal from the school, Mr. Rutsky, we even had our traffic bureau out there at some of the meetings. It's just something needs to be done before somebody gets hurt.
Okay, I have a question, Mr. Sayers. The jurisdiction between the school board and us, where is that line drawn? Like,
Well, we actually use that field also.
Right.
We use their fields, so that parking lot helps us with regard to when we have games there or whatever. So there has to be an interlocal agreement between us and the school board. As a matter of fact, Mr. Rutsky, I spoke to him on Friday. He is discussing all the issues with the board actually tonight, I believe.
Yeah, they had their meeting tonight.
Yeah, so I think they have their meeting tonight. So he's before their board speaking about the issues that they need to get through.
So the municipality will be paying for the improvements?
Correct. We're going to do an interlocal agreement with the Board of Education, and we will be funding the bond ordinance.
Okay. Now, how does this differ from the library? I know that we have an issue with the library and the facade.
Okay? We would have to have an interlocal agreement with the library
Library.
in order to get that done.
Okay. All right. And what's the status of that?
Actually, we were, I think we're discussing having a meeting, correct? Regarding the facade with the, we did have a meeting about a week ago? Yeah, and we talked about some issues that we're looking at, so we're waiting to hear back from not only the library, but from which direction we're looking to go in with regard to that.
Yeah. Again, just an example of some of the financial needs that we have out there, and we have to balance out. One, we have the issue of safety over a Gregory school that we need to address, and that's why we have this in front of us. Councilwoman McCartney, you had the floor. You had your hand up before.
Oh, no, just to mention Lenny.
Okay.
That Lenny was
All right.
here, and if he could add to the plan.
Right. Councilman Kukoviac?
Thank you. Since everybody's getting a chance to talk on this, I just wanted to just briefly add my comments. I know that the traffic over there is a mess, and I hope that whatever is being discussed is a wholesale solution that fixes a lot of these problems, because the parking is literally, it's ridiculous. it's destroyed a great deal of the lawn and landscaping at the building, on the property, because people are parking where they obviously shouldn't be parking. And I'm all in favor of getting our traffic enforcement people out there and making sure that they stop doing that. But this particular thing, again, gets back to the tremendous amount of borrowing we've been doing in the last 5 years. And in particular, we have been financing literally millions of dollars of improvements on school board property. And the state law is very clear, and it was put in for a purpose, which is that any bonding by, or virtually any bonding by, school districts in the state of New Jersey requires a referendum and a vote of approval by the taxpayers, the ones who are going to fund this. And by constantly going through the township to do this, we sidestep what I think is a very important provision for the citizens of New Jersey. And certainly my son played baseball through on that field a long time ago through the town rec department. But I don't believe that you can make an argument that any more than 1% of the use of the parking lot or the facility, and probably not even 1%, is all school-related activities. And I just cannot continue to, I mean, I vote against these, and I'm going to vote against this today because it subverts a constitutional provision in the state of New Jersey that gives taxpayers the right to a referendum on school borrowing. And I just wanted to point out again, in the last 5 years, since year-end 2010, if we approve this stuff that's on the agenda tonight, we will have raised our authorized and outstanding debt by 31% in 5 years, and a total of $18.5 million. And what makes that important is that we have to pay that back with interest. We've now gotten the first interest rate increase by the Federal Reserve a few weeks ago that we've had since, I think, 2007. So our interest costs are going to go up, and I think we need to take a very careful look at what we're borrowing for, and how we're going to pay it all back, because I'm sure the debt service that we've been paying on an annual basis has been going up just as quickly as this, because interest rates haven't moved anywhere, and you add $1 of debt and you got to add interest. And I know interest rates are historically low, but they're going up, and I ask that the Council President put on our next agenda for our next meeting a review of our overall debt and debt service and our plan to repay that.
Sure, let's discuss that with John.
Sure. I'm sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent,
please.
but I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Oh, okay. So we'll go back to the vote. Councilwoman Casalino?
Introduction.
We're voting on introduction
On
of
first reading,
2474, yes. Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes.
2475-16, bond ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the Township of West Orange, County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $7,378,635, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $7,027,266 bonds or notes to finance part of cost thereof. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Casalino?
Question. The various outdoor facility improvements, including but not limited to improvements to outdoor recreational facilities, what kind of work is going to be done there? There's really not much detail. On page
2475.
2475?
You mean the Cats Community Center in the police building?
Well, that's explained on point V. This would be triple I, under improvements.
Can you repeat that question?
I just wanted a little more detail on improvements, the third one, triple I, various outdoor facility improvements. Is that just townwide or any particular facility, all the parks? And we're talking just sidewalks or?
No, it's mostly everything. Len, you want to discuss this?
I know specifically two projects that are included would be the reconstruction of the tennis courts at O'Connor Park, as well as replacing aerators at both Vincent's Pond at Degnan Park, as well as Crystal Lake. That's approximately $150,000. I'm not sure what all the other projects were that were included in this.
Okay.
Mr. Report, can I just ask a quick question? I didn't realize this was supposed to be for tennis courts at O'Connor because, of course, the ordinance doesn't specify them. But those courts were redone probably less than 5 years ago, weren't they?
Not at O'Connor Park, no.
No, they got pushed.
No, just in the past year, we've done Stag and in Degnan. But the ones at Colgate or at O'Connor, I don't think they've been done in the past 10 years, if not even a little bit longer.
Could you check on that?
Sure.
And the reason I ask is because shortly after I got on the council, I was out there playing tennis, and I noticed that it appeared that multiple people had been out there with metal spikes, and it just cut a huge number of holes in a couple of the courts. And I just recalled that it happened right after the court. If you could just look into that and just send me an email. Thank you.
I remember Billy saying something because when the high school got, when the Degnan got done.
Councilwoman, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Are we voting or talking? I don't.
You got to talk and discuss, or you got to vote on the ordinance.
Yeah,
we're doing two things at once here.
There's really
confusing.
Yeah, it is.
Very confusing.
There's usually no discussion on first reading, but that's up to you.
You could still ask questions if you have a question.
I mean, this is a good discussion. We'll address that for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yes, Council.
If I could, I totally agree with you, and if it's confusing, I regret that, but you're exactly right. We didn't used to ever talk about these, right. But I think it's a good idea for certain ordinances where either the council people have questions or maybe just to describe it to the residents without being too lengthy and without disturbing it. But I think that's a good
comments?
idea. No, I didn't. I just wanted to comment on the comment, but I don't want to drag this out anymore. I apologize.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to vote now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes.
And I wanted to make comment on the comment because when we do introduce things on first reading, it always makes sense to hash it out first to get a better understanding, I think, to ask the questions first, because when it comes up on second reading, we have to be ready to vote. And then we're asking questions, and then it's either too late to table it or postpone it or just veto it. So I think it just makes more sense to have somewhat of a discussion or ask a few questions on first reading, and I have said that for many, many years.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
Comment on
The administration would like to have an executive session to advise you of some personnel matters. We don't have a resolution on the agenda. If you choose to agree, we'd need at least 4 votes to raise it from the floor, but we would like to speak with you about a couple of matters.
Make a motion to...
My colleagues okay with that?
Sure, we make a motion. What's the motion?
I need a motion and a second to add the resolution.
I make a motion to add the resolution.
I have a second from Councilwoman Castellino.
Okay, and then I'm going to take the vote.
Are we adjourning?
Not yet.
Okay.
We adjourn after this.
Right. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to add the executive session. Now we're going to adjourn? and then go into executive
No, we have to
session?
adjourn after executive
Well,
session.
you're not going to be taking any action in
Right,
this
this
executive
is
session.
just-
I'm just going to advise you of some things, so you could adjourn if
We
you want.
could?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so long, I mean, the minutes are taken, so, okay.
And then,
Yes, I make a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion for adjournment, Council President?
is there a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
Have a good evening, West Orange, and we'll see you next on February 9th, 6:30. Don't forget, on the 3rd, we have the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, the State of the Town address. Mayor Parisi at 8 a.m. will be giving the State of the Town speech. For more information, www.westorangechamber.com. That's WOChamber.com. Good night.